Num. Delicious tacos. Num num num. Delicious tacos. Taco taco taco. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Mm. Taco taco taco. Hello, Internet Land. I'm Big D. And as you can see, I am alone today. Lady D is not back from work yet. So we are here at the table enjoying our tacos. My man Artie, how are you, sir? Ah, Taco Tuesday. It's the best day of the week. I got nothing for you, dog. Go away. Go on. Go on. Go on. Go on. Got nothing for you. Brother Archer, good to see you, sir. I apologize. I was pulling my chicken. Pulled chicken. So good. I am great, guys. So welcome to Taco Tuesday. What is going on? Well, let's see. I played a 2,000 point game this weekend. I'm currently editing the battle report up. Imperial Guard are going to have some problems in this edition, I'm thinking. They're in a weird place. They can't take really the triple tank commander because they don't have that. They don't have that special detachment anymore. Senator Dave. They don't have their special detachment anymore, so they're not getting those guys anymore. Talking to my buddy that was playing his Imperial Guard, Bane Blades are just so oppressively expensive. He doesn't know if they're really playable. And yeah, they can shoot and move and shoot in combat. But most of the army suffers from the 4+ to hit. Hey, what's up, my guys? See, you got Commodore and both my Frost and Fist brothers. Good to see you guys. Yeah, it's good to see. I'm sitting here while I chop up some jalapeno for Taco Tuesday here. Fresh out of the garden jalapenos. Some fresh pulled chicken. Taco Tuesday is a big deal. Pulled this thing out of the garden earlier today, it looks like. And just cut it up and throw it right on there. Oh, that is a beautiful thing. All right. Now, oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I made this queso taco stuff last week. It's basically a lot of cheese and rice, and it's basically the filling for a cheese, bean, and beef burrito. And then we just serve it on chips. It was really good, but with fresh jalapenos from the garden. But then, of course, Taco Tuesday. So yeah, guard is just, I don't think guard's in a really good place. Like I said, my buddy that was playing guard, I mean, the tanks have a lot of punch, but they're really expensive, and they're hitting on 4s. And yeah, you can set them up so they reroll on 3s, I mean, reroll on 1s, and you can afford a couple tank commanders. But the problem is that for what you pay for them, if you get them in a place where they can start really laying smack, they get hurt real quick. Hellhounds, we thought were going to be like a lot more useful, and they were not. His Hellhound, I melted a Hellhound out of existence in one round. Just, oh look, it's brand new. Done. He had 2 basilisks, and one of them had the tank haste ability on it. And as soon as I identified who that was, I just fired on it because I didn't want him hitting me for 3 damage multiple times in a round. Yeah, you know, that's the funny thing. I think the problem is, and here's the flip side, I think infantry, because they're so fragile, I mean, you're going to end up having to play, I mean, you could play Imperial Guard as like a horde type army, but they're so fragile and hit so poorly. I don't know. Very nice. I kind of want to, I have an idea, but I want to test it out. So I got to find somebody who's got an army I can play against and try out my crazy idea for an Imperial Guard army. Because I'm thinking mass infantry with very few vehicles to back them up might be the way to go. And play them like a horde army and do what was counterintuitive in 8th and actually stick special weapons in every squad. But then again, I run as Cadians, so it's like I want that reroll 1. So stick those freaking plasma guns. Yeah, I mean, Deathcore Krieg, actually, their primary play style, again, I'm going to test it out. I'm going to test it out, but I mean, the way you play Krieg might be the way for Imperial Guard to come back, because right now they're not in a good place. Quick note on me playing them this weekend. There's a secondary you can take called take them down, tear them down. Okay.
I was showing you that.
Oh.
How they look with the
Nice. Vic is almost done, or should I say Plague Child's almost done with their blue Necrons, and then they'll be able to
put the snow on the
and then they're going to be able to get to their Indominus box.
I'm so excited for it.
There's a secondary. Hey, Jinx. There's a secondary you can take called Tear Them Down, and every time you kill something that has 11 wounds or more, you get a lot of points. And if you take Thin Their Ranks, you get 1 point secondary point for every dude you kill, and 10 points every time you kill something with 10 or more, with more than 10 wounds, or 10 or more wounds. Problem is, Hellhounds and Basilisks both have 11 wounds. They both have 11 wounds. Layman Russes have, like, I think 11 or 12 wounds. you only get so many points in secondaries. Me killing 3 vehicles was, you can only get 45 points, and me killing 3 vehicles was already like 35 points. So the secondary war was won against them with them using vehicles. And to show, because I haven't bothered putting them away, this is what they killed. So he got 2 Marines, 2 blight haulers, 1 bloat drone, and my 5 squad of Terminators. Was not an even trade. 2 rounds, those Terminators did so much work. I was happy to let them die. They'd done so much work back there with all of them carrying the combi meltas. Jam Jar, my guy. Mm-mm. So I don't know. I've got a pretty massive Imperial Guard unit. Oh yeah, no, we had a good time. We had a really good time. It was a lot of fun. I gotta say, because Ben actually knows the player, and then Commodore knows the player. Jack's a great guy. He actually wants to come back and play again, like next weekend if he can. We had a great time because I mean, we were playing informally. I mean, we had the rules and all that. And it was really like, there was a couple times like, well, I want to do this. I'm like, well, if you do this, this is going to happen here and here. I don't know, hang on, right? You know, we were both trying to make sure, you know, we flubbed some rules here and there. That'll get better as you go on. Yeah, I'm also going to say War of the Spider. If you hated Death Guard before, if you didn't like playing Death Guard before, War of the Spider, wow. War of the Spider did some things to Death Guard that people are not going to enjoy. If you thought they were hard to take off the table before, they're even harder now. I can stack up without really going crazy. It doesn't cost me much. I can stack up a couple things together and do a murder ball across the middle of the field and just, you know, shooting from the middle of the field as I walk across taking what I want. They have their here's the thing. With the combination I've got and the combination I'm looking at for talking to some other Death Guard players, I literally have the ability to take my Death Guard, as I sit right now, have my primary units run with a 5-up invul save. The entire army running with a 5-up invul save, which they did not have before. If you got a sniper, you can try and do something about it, but it's still tough because you still got to get through that 5.
Play Death Guard versus Necron.
You still got to come up through that 5-up invul save. Then you got to deal with their 5-up disgusting and resilient, and there's a character that I can put in there that gives them a reroll on 1s and 2s. There's another aura that can. It's just. I can make them. I didn't run the guy that gives them the reroll the 1s and 2s, but I mean, you can make Death Guard. I'm not coming off the table anytime soon. And one of the guys was complaining. It's like, yeah, Death Guard are beautiful. I love Death Guard. But somebody was saying, well, I mean, you got to spend all these points before the game to make them do this. Yeah. I don't need to spend any points during the game. If I built the way I built my army, I've already got so many rerolls built in. I spent one reroll only because I really just I wanted a couple extra shots. Not on a save. It was on a weapon that does 2 dice worth of shots, and I rolled a pair of 1s. I'm like, no. That was the one reroll I played. I spent 2 CP at one point to do a grandfather's blessing to heal some wounds back. And I did 1 CP on a... well, that's the thing. Keep in mind, on a 2,000 point game, you get 12 CP. 12 CP. I was running a patrol, which you get for free because I got the guy in there, and a outrider. So CP there. I mean, that was the thing. It really was kind of crazy. The amount of rerolls that were built into it, because that was my concept when I was building this army. Saying, where can I add rerolls and where can I throw auras down? And it got to the point where, I have one group swinging on one side that goes from a 5-up invul to a 4-up invul. Plus, they have Disgusting Resilient. And I have a group in the middle that don't normally have an invul save. Now they've got a 5-up invul save. And now they're talking about swapping a couple units out, putting them into a single battalion, removing one of my demon engines and using it to put the guy in that makes me a 1 and 2 reroll Disgusting Resilient. It's like, okay, this is starting to get out of hand. If you stack up all their bonuses, yeah, I'm only going to have 4 or 5. Yeah, that's the thing. I come in and I'm going to have 4 or 5 CP coming into the game, which for 9th is not a lot, but I'm not using it for anything. The main thing is if they're running the sniper assassin, I want to cover one of my HQs. I want to cover one of my HQs with a cloud of flies around. That's 1 CP. You're getting 1 back every round. So that pays for itself. Every round I put 1 CP aside to do cloud of flies. I'm fine. Yeah, it's the 9th edition rules are great, and because you want Death Guard to get into your face. I mean, I don't want to have them shooting at me. I don't want them in my face. You got to pick where you want them, how you going to choose it. So, and like I said, it was a good game. I mean, he was enjoying it. It was like he tried some really cool things. He tested out some new stratagems. He tested out some new models. He's painted up some really good stuff. But Meltas and overcooked plasmas really delete stuff pretty heavily. And when you can have as many as I did to start, I mean, I had 2 squads with 3 plasmas in them. Yeah, short board, and we're suddenly, rapid fire range. Things did not go well. But we had a good game. I'm hoping to get that finished editing this week and get that up before Friday.
Oh, you filmed it?
No. But I'm also now looking at, there's a couple guys that after he's talked to them that want to come over and play. So we may end up turning Sundays. Either I record them and then edit them down, or depending if I can get a nice camera boom to go here and hang over the table, we may end up doing live streams on Sundays, just live streaming the games. So, yeah, I mean, Plasma, I was a big fan of the Arch Contaminator and, the Arch Contaminator with the Plague Launchers or the Blight Launchers. Having a reroll aura that walks down the field with you changed the way I play my Death Guard. I mean, it really did. I didn't even look at Arch Contaminator. I was looking at stuff to help my demon engines out. Hey, Tina. I was looking to help out my demon engines with the Warlord. Or I'm trying to think what I put on my Warlord. Because my Warlord was my Chaos Lord and Terminator armor. I gave him Rotten Constitution, so he take 1 damage off of every hit he takes. So I'm in Terminator armor, so I've got an invul save. I've got Disgusting Resilient, and everything that hits me. If it hits me for 2, it hits me for 1. If it hits me for 3, it hits me for 2. Yeah, it's all about being unkillable. And I want to get a lot more games in night. I only played, other than that league, I was in that league for 12 weeks, and I got 1 game a week for 12 weeks. You may need to put another drop there where it connects. So here, this one's going to float. I would come back to it, let it dry, and work with another one.
Yeah, that one's the broken one.
Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, having a game live, I think it'd be kind of cool. The game, they were saying that 9th was going to go faster. It really did. Jack came over. I think he got her at 11. We actually threw dice starting. What army would match Death Guard? Hang on, I got some thoughts on that. I was thinking about that. But he got her about 11:30. Well, he got her at 11. We started throwing dice, or we started doing the setup and deployment at 11:30. We were done by like 2.
Yeah, that's when I got home when he was leaving.
Yeah, we got done by 2. It was. I mean, it was round 4. We were done, but I mean, we were just starting round 4. But I mean, it went fast. It went well. Now, as far as what would match good with Death Guard, there's a couple. Honestly, I still think Space Marines, given the amount of stuff they do that does 2 wounds, I think the amount of stuff they do that does 2 wounds would be good. I think Marines still are really good. It really was. I gotta say, it was a lot of fun. And I think even if I lost, it'd have been really fun. And that's the thing that I liked about it, was that, I mean, it didn't matter. We were throwing dice and joking the whole time and being funny about stuff, and it was just a good time. I'm hoping that'll come out as I show the video. Jack's a great, and I gotta say this, I don't know if Jack's watching tonight, but Jack is a great guy, and he's actually really interested in coming back and playing me again and playing a couple of my different armies. He is a guard for life. He's a guard for life player. So he really wants to try some different things. And we talked about that. Actually, I think at the end of the video, I don't know how much we actually recorded of that, but we were talking about theory crafting with guard, what he's going to do. Tempesticians have some definite capabilities. But they're limited if you're focused on Tempesticians, because you don't get all the vehicles. So yeah, Big Hat Jack. See, I don't know anyone else that plays Death. Well, I know. I take that back. I know a couple people play Death Guard, but almost all the people I know that play Death Guard are pretty new or haven't played much. Now, if you're talking Imperial Guard versus Imperial Guard, that'd be a lot of fun. It'd be interesting to see, because his and my philosophy, his and my philosophy on Imperial Guard are very different. So it'd be interesting to see how those clash. Because I'm a firm believer in, I believe in shock and awe. I mean, that's just the way I play the game. I really believe in shock and awe. If I can overwhelm somebody with massive amounts of firepower, if I can just, yeah, if I can throw Imperial Guard, if I can throw shock and awe. He also runs like a custom detachment. I mean, he runs a specifically an ability that lets him do kit bashing, repair his vehicles, and re-roll his shots from his vehicles. I run straight Cadians. I love the Cadians for what they do. I love that re-rolling ones. I love their orders. I love their tank orders. And so I'm just a big fan Cadia all the way. I love their HQs. I mean, let's be honest. I love their HQs too. Between Creed and Pask, I mean, name a more deadly duo in the Imperial Guard, and I challenge you. I don't think there's any two figures more devastating than the two of them. And they're both Cadians. As far as who matches up with Death Guard really well, I think Space Marines are still top tier. I absolutely think Space Marines on a whole are top tier. I was looking at a GT from like a week ago, and they're absolutely all over the place. They're all over the place. I mean, you've got Iron Hands that are still up there. Grey Knights came in third place. Grey Knights are absolutely devastating right now. People do not know how to deal. Don't know how to deal with that Paladin. I mean, they throw the big two baby walkers with the demon hammers or demon swords or whatever it is, just the two big walker dudes, and then just a crap ton of Terminators. And oh god, I was looking at that list. That list is just nasty. And then both their named characters, oh, it was nasty. And just smite spam the crap out of everything. Yikes. That's not one, and that's one that would absolutely destroy my Death Guard. So yeah, they were playing Paladin Bump. I tell you, so that's the first thing. Yeah. No question. I think the Grey Knights, because of the amount of bonuses they get against demons, would absolutely rip Death Guard to pieces. Because Death Guard's strength is all the demon engines they get, all the really durable, comparatively low-cost demon engines. You just rip them to pieces. And once you get rid of their demon engines, they're just dudes. So they're durable dudes, but they're just dudes. So I think Grey Knights would be nasty. I think Custodes are going to be. I think Custodes, which were already kind of a thing, but not. They would pop up from time to time in GTs in 8th edition, but they never were regularly near the top. You have somebody come up with a list that nobody was surprising and nobody knew how to play against. They'd come up, they'd rip people up, and then they'd play them again and say, "Oh, I know that trick," and then they'd beat them, and then they come up with a new trick with them and do it. I think War of the Spider. Again, I mean, I look at my Custodes. Yeah, there was only a brief time that they were really good. I think in 9th, again, this GT, of the top 10 guys, of the top 10 armies, 4 were Marines, 4 were Custodes, 1 was Four Marines, 4 Custodies. One was Death Guard, and 1 Eldar army. They were the only Eldar army in all 32 teams. There were only 3 Xeno armies in this. That's the other point we made. Of the 32 armies in that GT, there was 1 Eldar, 1 Tyrannid, and 1 Tau. The Tyrannids came in second to last place. The Tau came in absolute last because they dropped after the first day. And looking at the scores from the first day, they got absolutely housed on day 1. So they didn't bother coming back for day 2. So the Tyrannid just couldn't get it going. And it was all weekend long. I mean, there was a bunch of Death Guard in there there was a bunch of Death Guard in there. It was Death Guard, Space Marines, and Custodies ruling the day there. So I'm looking at it that, yeah, Custodies and Marines are going to get in there. Eldar are always good. Eldar is going to be played differently. They got rid of flyer span. You're only going to have a couple flyers. They're too expensive, and you don't have the air wing anymore. A lot of people are talking about swooping hawks going to be a thing. I don't play Eldar, so I just know that I know that Drukhari are a pain in the ass, and I think you're going to see. I don't think witches are going to become. I just don't see witches. They're just not durable enough. But I think you're going to see a lot of Venom Kabalite spam going on because of how cheap they are. I think you're going to see a lot of Venom Kabalite spam, especially because of how cheap you can. I mean, if you take, I think if you take the what do you call it, the battalion detachment, where you get 3 troops and 2 HQs. You can take 3 of them and you get all detachments for free. So that's 9 squads of Kabalites, 9 Venoms, 3 Archons, and 3 whatever else you want to stick in there. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Just gross. And then you throw some Talons on that to give you some heavy support, and it's not going to be a good day for anyone.
Just need to dry.
So, like I said, I've done talking about what's on the bench. As you guys may have seen on Instagram, I finished up 15 of my wolves. I've got 10 more to go, and then I can get into my Indominus box. I want to get my wolves done before I get into it. 18 wolves, 13 wolves technically. I've got 3 HQs I got to finish. But Tau we're gonna have. Here's the thing. It's actually how Tau did so badly. I can tell you how they did so badly. 44-inch table. If they're playing it where you've got 12 inches of deployment on either side, you got 20 inches across the board. Marines are hitting on 3s. Volume fire. Yeah, those shield drones are great. We're going to target the drones. Is all I can guess, is targeting drones, going after the drones first and foremost, and just firing for effect until there are no drones left. Marines hit really well. All their weapons are high damage. good damage. At least 2s. I mean, there's some 1s, but depending what you're playing. And then that 20 inches to get across to get to them, there's so much speed now. And the fact that Marines get into melee and end stuff. I'm just seeing so many different ways. I'm seeing so many different ways of beating the crap out of Tau. And yeah, you get your volley fire at me if I get in there. But once I'm in, you're never getting me off. You can't fall back and shoot. You can't fall back and then shoot Overwatch. You're not getting away. And they don't have any way to get away from the fight. And that is the problem with Tau. And I think give it a couple months. Give it a couple months. And I think you'll see that change. The biggest problem, I think, and again, I was talking with some other people about this, talking in a couple competitive forums I've been reading. Top players don't know how to play right now. The meta, the rules have enough change to them. I mean, the 9th edition rules are enough of a change. What about 3+ involved shield bombs? There's a lot of ways to lay mortals now. You got to remember, look at the Marines. A lot of Marines are counting on, or they're playing lists that involve dropping mortals on stuff. I just saw the problem is they can't stick. You can't. You also can't counter the game now. The other thing to remember is if you look at the missions in the base book, the missions are really reliant on primaries and secondaries. You're not getting, if you've got all these big guns, you got all this other stuff, you're not spending your points somewhere. You take those objectives and you sit on those objectives, you score those objectives, just the base objectives, that's 45 points. That's half a game right there. It doesn't take much to do that. Again, I don't know the specifics because I don't know the specific games, and I've only seen a couple of lists that have been released. But I think give it a couple months. I think if you give it a couple months, you're going to actually see a meta develop. The problem is right now, a lot of people are trying to play the list they played in 8th, and that's not working. If you tried to play, well, I mean, Imperial Guard's a bad example. You can't play your Imperial Guard list from 8th because the primary list everybody was playing a variation of an 8th. The primary list people were playing, you can't even play. They took away Vigilus. They took away the Supreme Command Detachment. You're going to see huge changes to people that were playing Blood Angels, because Blood Angels, I never played Blood Angels. People who know me know I don't like Blood Angels. I don't like them because of their lore. I don't like vampires. I don't care if they're not actually vampires. They're vampire enough that I'm just like, nah.
Blood Angels one. It's on my work table on my plant. I didn't see it for a little bit. What'd you say?
I'm live right now. Will they still win every YouTube battle report? I've already seen them get housed on one YouTube report. I'll link that in the comments below once this is up. I saw a Tau fight. I think it was Tau versus World Leaders, and the World Leaders just absolutely destroyed them. Do you feel like you can ignore your opponent and still win? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's what the smaller board. That's what the smaller board does. You can't ignore it. We're playing a mission. The mission is called No Man's Land. There's 5 objective markers on the board. One's in the middle. 2 are just off, 12 inches off the short side, and they're 18 inches off the middle on the long side. Your primary objective are you get 5 points if you're sitting on one, you get 5 points if you're sitting on more than one, and you get 5 points if you're sitting on more than your opponent. There's 5 objective markers. So
if you have 3, you have.
If you have 3, you're good. But if you're going to be fighting over 3 of them, you're going to be fighting over at least one of them all game long. And unfortunately, like what I did to Jack, one of the worst things I did to Jack was I would get on my objectives and then I would throw everything at whatever was on his objectives. So he'd get his command phase and he'd get no points because he's not sitting on any objectives because they're all contested. So he has to go through his bother, gets back on them, and he's so busy trying to get back on his objectives, he can't push me off of mine. So the new missions, the new missions are amazing. They really, really are amazing. They make you have to go back and forth. The secondaries are also the nice thing about the secondaries is that you look at your other army, you look at what you got, and you look at what they got, and you pick your 3 secondaries after you know what they're running, so you can kind of look at what they are and figure out where you're going to score your most points. I looked at his army and I'm like, I'm going to tear all these things to bits. I'm going to take the one that gives me points for killing things. I'm going to take the other one that lets me destroy vehicles and get points for it. And I'm going to take the one that lets me get in his backfield because I know I'm dropping my Terminators back there. Surprise, I maxed out on secondaries in round 3. It's very interactive. But I also saw why the painted army, there's a 10 point for the painted army thing, because you could have 2 armies just punching each other in the face back and forth all game long. And if they're both punching each other really, really hard, you're going to both be right up there for points. Oh, yeah. I mean, come on, kids, come on over. I'm going to beat the hell out you, and I'm going to enjoy it. I like beating children. It's like one of my favorite pastimes, especially you 20-year-olds, you young men. You need to be smashed. Hit you with some old man strength. But yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. You can't ignore your opponent. You have to interact with your opponent. You can't just do what you're going to do and think you're going to win. It just doesn't work. The new missions are really good for that. I can tell that when they design these new missions, oh yeah, we going clubbing. The big thing that, you know, you got me off on my tangent now because I love baby seals. Buddy of mine used to draw a comic. Back in the early 90s. And one of his characters was Clubby the Harp Seal. And it was basically it was a 4-panel gag comic, and the 4th panel always involved somebody jumping out and beating Clubby to death. It was stupid 90s humor. We were idiots back then. But yeah, the game gave me a lot of insight. Playing a bigger army, I can also say there is a huge, huge dynamic difference playing a 500-point game and a 1,000-point game and a 2,000-point game. When GW was saying, oh, they'll play kind of the same, they were wrong. You have to build very, very differently when you're thinking about the different size armies. You have to completely think differently for each kind of mission. If you have a core book, sit down with your core book and read the mission packs in the book. You'll see what I mean. I played some 25-point, or which would be equivalent of 500-point games with the guys on the Saturday Morning SmackDown crew, and in 25-point games, if you're playing with people that just want to play shoot people off the table, elite armies win that fight every single time. You can't, and that, I guess that would be true in a 2,000-point game army too. You can't just play the, I'm going to stand over here and shoot at you, and you're going to stand over there and shoot at each other, and we may charge at each other, but the winner is going to be whoever tables the other one first. You're not being ignored. You should come back in here and sit down with me now. I've got an empty chair here and no wife. Elite armies, because the point costs increasing, elite armies are going to win that kind of a fight. You have to play to the objectives. You have to play to a mission objective. Otherwise, if you don't, custodies win every time. I mean, that's literally what it comes down to. If you're not playing objective games, if you're not playing the objectives, custodies win every single time. Unfortunately, poor Ben found it out. It's like, oh, we'll just shoot each other off the table. And Hurricane Bolters answered a lot of questions. You got to do you, buddy. Take care of yourself. Say, give big love to the family, big hugs to the family. So, yeah, playing the game in 9th is very different, though. The game went faster. Things were more streamlined. Some things had to still be done the same. I don't know. It seemed faster to me. It may just be that I was really playing the army I'm most familiar with. As much as I love my wolves, and I do love my wolves, I've been reading more and more and more about the Death Guard and running through their abilities and running through their abilities and stats and all that. And so I was more familiar with them to play them, period. So a grain of salt on that one. And Jack knows his guys. So, like I said, it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, let's give it 3 months, and I'll tell you if there's a real. Right now, it's durability is the name of the game, because there's not a lot of finesse right now. At least not in that GT. It looked like there was a lot of iron hands. There was one army that was running White Scars that I saw. I haven't been able to get a full list. So it's going to get Mythos at full list. But there was one guy there who was running White Scars. And a lot of guys are saying these assault intercessors are a trap. That they're a trap to fall into. When you do the math hammer and you throw the dice and all that, bolt guns or assault bolt guns are still the best way to go with a lot of those armies. So, I don't know. I'm going to give them a test out because that's what I've been looking at. I want to get my wolves done so I can get started on my Indominus. And that's the thing. Looking at the Indominus box, there's a lot of melee. There is a lot of melee. A lot of melee in the Indominus box. It didn't really dawn on me until I started really looking at the build list. And other than other than the big guys with the melt-the-guns, nobody's got anything other than pistols on the Marine side. That is a really get-up-in-your-face kind of army, which in my case is a little weird because I was sitting here, I'm looking at trying to do them as Iron Hands because I like the play style of Iron Hands. And I'm realizing these guys don't have any heavy weapons. These guys don't have any big guns. These guys are run up and get in your face kind of guys. So I'm definitely going to have to get some other stuff to go with them. And that brings me to my other topic. Talking about what's going on in the world of Warhammer. Are you going to actually sit here and talk with me, or is your mom going to come in, or what's going on?
Mom's saying there's one because of cleaning and laundry.
Okay. So, Plague Child, everyone. Hey, my man, what is going on? Good to see you. Appreciate this. Man, it's a packed house tonight. I appreciate this. I appreciate it. It's good to see. So, yeah, I mean, what's going on in the news with Warhammer? Huge changes. And a lot of it caught some of us by surprise. Starters are coming out. They should go on pre-sale this week. So the starters are coming.
How are you unloved?
My God, woman.
It's because I left you?
Yeah, apparently you left her. So she feels unloved. Go love your mother. Go love your mother.
Can I have a soda?
Yes, you can have a soda. Go love your mother. All right, I guess it's not the Plague Child. It's just me again. She is. She's a complete drama queen. So I'm looking at this going, okay, so the starters are coming out next week. I don't know the American prices. Well, I shouldn't say they're coming out. They're going on pre-order next week. So that means we'll have them in like 2 to 3 weeks. But all the easy-to-build kits are going away. Which I was like, oh, that's not a big deal. Wait a minute. I need some of those easy-to-build kits. Crap. So, luckily, I know of a couple local game stores that still have. That still have a few of them because I need. I want to get my hands on a Filthius in this cohort, just because it's fun. Yeah, I got a wild jam jar in here. Spud, jam jar's in here. Jam jar's my guy. That's my guy. Mr. Dinosaur himself. Yeah, they're getting replaced with new ones of Assault Intercessors and Necrons, but here's the thing. I don't really give a crap too much about the Intercessors or the troop ones. It's the upper level ones that are going away that's bothering me. Hello, Gimpy. She just flipped me the bird. My wife loves me. She's still flipping the bird at me. This is my lovely wife. Look at this. She's still. Let me get this camera adjusted so y'all can see my wounded child here. All right. So all the easy-to-build kits are getting replaced. So, yeah, we're going to get some new Assault Intercessors to replace the regular Intercessors. I'm betting we're going to get some sort of Blade Guard easy-to-build to replace the Reaver easy-to-build. What? Give her tacos. That's what the child's for. How do you not already have tacos? Did you eat them already?
Yeah.
But there's a ton of them left.
I got enough of it for tuxedo. I didn't make tuxedo black.
What the hell? I made 2 pounds of that whole chicken. Is there more?
Yes.
Okay. Rumble, rumble.
Teenager.
She would like another 2, but she would like a good amount of meat in them. Here's a plate. Mm-hmm. Anyhow. Yes, yes. And pets. Mine likes pets. Well, you should do painting. I just finished 15 Space Wolves. I got 10 more to go. Well, 13 more to go.
I'm working on 3 commissions.
Yeah.
And a chapter.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. So the Space Marines are getting swapped out, and the Death Guard are all going away. So they're getting swapped out for Necrons, which is fine, I guess. But I still want to Lord Felfius in this cohort. They're going away. I wanted at least one of that box. I never ended up getting one. And I need those aggressors. She needs the aggressors, actually, oddly enough. The problem is that the full aggressors kit is really expensive compared to the easy-to-build aggressors. And she doesn't need the full kits because she doesn't want the bolt guns. She wants the flamer aggressors. So I got to see if I can... I got to get a couple sets of those because they're out of print. They're gone. So, I mean, we can still get the full scale ones, but I mean, that's aggravating. Yeah, don't beat that face. Thank you.
There's number left.
Okay. So yeah, those are going away. Lord Felf is going away. And if I'm understanding right, and if I saw it right, the easy-to-build Dreadnought is going away. And we both wanted one of those for our army. So, I mean, we can get the full-scale kit, but that's just the thing. I mean, and again, I know where I can still get them, but those are going to dry up real quick. So that's kind of a thing. We may have to not the best statted. Maybe they don't have the best rules, but they got a lot of model love. They got a lot of model love in AIF. And I mean, they got a lot of really good models and a lot of new models and a lot of new casts. And Abaddon, 2 Primarchs. Come on now. All the Death Guard lovely stuff. All the new Space Marines, Chaos Marines kits, the whole Shadow Spear, and now that whole half a box that's in the Start Collecting box. Chaos got, they got love. I don't know about that, Kami. And the reason I say I don't know about that is if you look at Age of Sigmar, they keep expanding their easy-to-build kits. Like, every time they release a unit, there's an easy-to-build kit for it, it seems. Or I should say, every time they do a refresh on an army, there's an easy-to-build kit for it. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about that yet. I think they're going to start off small, and they're going to work their way up. Yeah. Every single time they do a one of those units for that board game, the AOS board game. Mm-hmm. Every time they do that, they also release those figures as an easy-to-build kit. Never noticed. No one plays AOS. Yeah. I would say that's not true. AOS is definitely not as popular as 40K, but you also know from being at the same store that I go to, there's a pretty huge Age of Sigmar player core at that store. So, and the Games Universe that's nearby, they have a pretty big player base there too. So I think as you are a only 40K player Commodore. I think you see what you want to see. Just saying. On the other hand, I don't go there on Sundays very often, and that's when they mainly play. So I got to agree with you in some respects because I don't see that many 40K, that many AOS players.
Which pretentious elves are you talking about? Because
he bought pretentious elves. He bought the cow elves, the new cow elves.
You have all that.
Cow elves look cool. Except for the one that looks really silly and the one that looks like he's going to break if you just look at it too hard. That one that's on the floating rock, that shit's going to break just like that. I'll tell you, actually, what's really bad? I like the idea of AOS really, like, a lot. I really love the idea of Age of Sigmar. The variability, the different realms, the different rules depending on which realm you're from and what realm you're in. That whole variable thing, the fact that everybody gets a piece of terrain for free from their thing. I think it's all really cool, and some of their sculpts are amazing. I keep having people tell me, "Oh, and building lists in Age of Sigmar are easy." That was a lie. Building a list in Age of Sigmar is hard as hell because they don't make any damn sense. Ugh. I don't understand their building process. It's like you have points, but you can't use variable unit sizes. So you can't fit. So you're either going to have a whole lot of unspent points, or you have to swap out a unit to put something else in, and not a fan. I like the game. I like the idea of Age of Sigmar. I like the idea of Age of Sigmar a lot. I mean, your Blades of Corn look really cool. I want to throw dice against your 8 Blades of Corn. But at the same time, I don't think we could. I think we'd have to pull the rule book out and do every step by step, and I think we'd still have lots of problems.
All I could think is Palladiums or Rift. Building your character is so hard. Here's your character. It's been 15 minutes. How did you do that? I just know how to read the damn book.
Yeah.
I can also mid-max in that game, motherfucker.
Like I said, I love Age of Sigmar figures. I love their figures. I think they're pretty. Mm-hmm.
I still want more Cup of Blood.
Yeah. And I still want the Realm of Chaos box set. You can have all the coordinates out of it. I just want my pretty little demony girls. She enjoyed her tacos. She inhaled her tacos. The tacos are gone. So yeah, easy to build kits changing out. Starter kits going on pre-order probably the same time. There have been some leaks of some of the new units that are coming out that look really cool. I think you're gonna. I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, we won't see stuff for months," and I almost fell into that trap. I was starting to believe we wouldn't see anything for months, and now I'm seeing again leaks and things on the horizon and whatnot, and I'm going, we're going to see a lot of releases. I think they're kind of because they want to make up for 4 months of COVID. Yeah, leaks. Somebody got their hands on some of the ATV, the Space Marine Dune Buggy, and the Space Marine cannon, the sitting cannon, what looks like a tilt-a-whirl with a gun on it. That they were showing off. I think it's called a Skyfire cannon. and then the couple Scorpec things that they showed, but they haven't shown. They showed the models for it, but they hadn't shown the stats for. They got leaked. Somebody got pictures of the data sheets, and they were out there. I love Reddit, and they look great. I mean, like I said, I think with as quickly as things are coming down and things as quickly are coming forward, I honestly believe we're going to see Nate. If you're not here, you gotta get your own. Yeah, the tilt-a-whirl gun of doom. I mean, that's what it looks like. It looks like the thing looks like a tilt-a-whirl, like the seat. If you know what if everybody doesn't know what a tilt-a-whirl is, it's a carnival ride here in the States. It looks like a tilt-a-whirl seat that they put a cannon on the front of and put it on 3 legs. It's the weirdest looking thing.
What is this? Well, we found it in ancient technology, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Ancient Terran technology.
And we armed it up. You know, it's kind of like steampunk. You know, glue some gears on it and call it steampunk. Well, stick some guns on it and call it grimdark. So glue some guns on it and call it grimdark. That's pretty funny. So yeah, and they look good. I think we're gonna. But what I was seeing is that one of the things I saw was a chapter manifest, or I should say, shipping manifest. I think we're gonna see things hitting at a pretty rapid pace. I think we're gonna see new releases probably every 2 weeks through the end of the year. And I think they're going to push that because they got to make up for 4 months of COVID and all the potential loss of sales and the release expectations they had this year. As far as what are my thoughts on the new starter sets? I'm probably going to get a copy of the middle one. I don't need the top end one because I don't need another copy of the book. And the only difference between the middle one and the top end one is the terrain. But it'd be nice to get another set of bikes, another set of the assault intercessors that I can split with my wife, and give the child some more Necrons to make up for the fact that they're not getting my box of Necrons. Not that I'm going to play to pay Necrons. No, I would never. Not at all. I should keep it. And why shouldn't I? There's a meme going around. And they're beautiful. They're just gorgeous figures. So there's a part of me that's like really going, I want to pay Necrons. Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, it's one of the really, really, really good ones. So she may paint it. And it's still going to end up in my offering. You would actually use it? Yeah. My wife painted it. You're one of the few people that would paint something that I would use. Seriously. Yeah. You understand how I feel about that.
Well, yeah. That's what
You're one of the few people that would paint something that I would use. Okay, if those of you who don't know, I don't play miniatures that other people painted. I have one currently right now that I play. And I play it. I love the figure. And it's something specific that Mythos can take quite a bit of pride in. I have a thing, and it's a weird, and I know it's a weird thing. And it goes back to the whole idea of, I don't understand why you would pay somebody to paint your miniatures. Because if you don't paint them, then they're not yours. They're somebody else's art. They're somebody else's vision. You're just paying with pieces. And that just, to me, is just like, if you don't paint your figures, And I don't care if you paint them badly. That's the thing. Again, I want to go back to the fact that I don't care if you paint them badly. Paint your figures. Everybody starts somewhere. It's funny talking to the guys that I played with Warhammer 30 years ago, because the way they talk, I was some amazing painter. Oh, your stuff looks so good. Blah, blah, blah. No, it didn't. It looked like crap. It looked like utter garbage. I didn't know anything about shading. I didn't know anything about layering. I didn't know anything about thinning my paint. I put on my primer way too thick. My figures looked like ass. But I made them mine. It's actually the lights. No, actually you're not. It is the lights. The way I've got... There are some changes that we'll talk about that a bit. There are going to be some changes going on to how this whole live streams look really soon. There's going to be a big change to the computer and the camera all this weekend. We got some upgrades that will all go live this weekend. So the lighting will change in here a bit. The camera's going to change, and the computer running the show is going to change. So yeah, that's just why you're not so animated. Not being so grumpy. Not being so smart-assy. My little smart. Look at this, people! She's drilling barrels! This is her first time drilling barrels. Hey, it is. It's her first time drilling marine barrels. The barrels don't matter. And then in your head, make you feel better. Turn over your ear.
It's cute how he thinks this is going to stop me from killing him in his sleep.
Made a lot of noise. Why are you making so much noise?
You're sharing.
This is what I live with. Yes, I changed the potato for a pumpkin. I went full squash.
So it's kind of funny because the way they're all looking this way, except for this one who looks like he's...
You know, Nate, that's the thing. Honestly, here's the thing.
Dibs on his shit when you kill him.
That's me.
Here's the thing. I don't care if you don't paint your figures. Honestly, I don't care if the person I'm playing doesn't have their figures painted. It doesn't bother.
We played against a guy who did orcs where he did spray. This one is red, this one is yellow, this one is blue. There you go.
I played against a guy who had an entire Tyranids army.
Didn't he just face him black?
He didn't even have prime. He assembled them, and he just wanted to play right away. So he hadn't even started painting them yet. I think by the time this was in the league I was in, by the time the league ended, he finally had them primed. That was it. But he wanted to play. And I'm going to be honest with you, the desire to play, the want to play, that is the first and foremost thing. Ancient Babylon 5 starships.
Can't see.
Now it's really pale.
Yeah, now you look dead.
Oh, that was at work when I went into work. And I had an amazing...
Yeah, I mean, hang on. Let's see here. We got 13 people in chat. I got a bunch of my UK friends in chat. This is really awesome, guys. Thank you so much for showing up to you.
Chat is going on.
Yeah. Well, normally our chat is like 5 or 6 people. This is awesome. And my brother's on here, which is really surprising. Because he's normally here and just kind of...
I have no idea what you people are talking about, but I am here.
Yeah. Like, just so it's said, at some point, I'm actually going to go over to my brother's house while he's working on a model and just film him doing the modeling so I can give you guys some content on seeing an old dude that does stuff that's just grossly good. He's got pieces that he's painted. It's a bit here, Kaiser. He's a big World War II buff. He's got a bunch of pieces in museums for his World War II stuff. They're all over there. They're in the tools or they're in the sharps.
Watch an old guy doing something that's grossly good. We already do that.
Here's the thing. Convert him to the dark side. I did. I sent him a set of 5 Imperial Guard because he's the kind of guy that would get into playing Imperial Guard, and he's not interested. He doesn't really interested in playing, but he loves painting and building stuff. So I can actually blame Phoenix. Phoenix got him into painting stuff. He did this centaur that is just the centaur lord that is just gorgeous. If you can't find them, chill out for a minute. I'll try to find what we got there. She can't find either of the drills. And I know where they are, but I can't stop. And you're not in a good shape anyhow. So just chill. So what's your favorite part? Come here. Okay, don't pull up. I'm in good day. But so that's the thing. Where was I at? He's an incredible painter. But I just love having this crew here, and I love being able to talk about the hobby on a whole. But yeah, like I said, we've got a guy that he was playing these Tyrion, and he just wanted to play. And I don't care if you don't paint your figures. That's you. That is you, and that's all you. And it's not my job to tell you how to play the game, how to be in the game, how to whatever in the game. That's what you're about, and that's the thing. What you do affects you, so you need to police yourself.
What's the phrase that Nico always uses?
You do you. Yeah, you do you. So my thing is that I don't like not painting my figures. I won't use a figure that I haven't painted. If it's not painted, I will not put it on the table. I won't. I can't do it. I can't.
He's a little crazy.
I can't. I tried. It's not painted. I can't use it. It doesn't feel right to me. I can't put a figure down and use it if it's not painted. It just doesn't feel right to me. And I recognize that's my deal. And I'm very much, I want to paint my figures. Because when I buy my figures, when I first conceive, I don't just buy random boxes. Oh, this would be cool. When I get figures, when I print figures, or I buy figures, or I go on the eBay and try and grab figures, when I get figures, I have a concept immediately. I don't just buy them and say, oh, I'll use them at some point. I'm kind of lucky that way. I know some guys go, it's a new figure, I got to buy a box of them. I'm not that guy. But the problem is that I see those figures and I immediately know what I want to do with them. So until I do that, I can't use them. Because until then, they're just plastic. But that also is the flip side for me. Like, I don't like using other people's figures. They're not mine. And so would you say I get stupidly emotionally attached to my figures at times?
He raged for 3 hours when one of them fell and broke.
It's true.
So, yes.
Like 3... And here's the thing. For me, it depends on what kind of a player I'm getting with. The guy that was playing with Tyrion, specifically in that league I was in, this came out just when Apocalypse came out. So he had bought. His dad had got from this guy was like 19 or 20 years old, young guy, just starting to get into the hobby. His dad was a player, and was like, oh, he's excited about it. Let me get it for him. So he bought him the Apocalypse box and 2 starter boxes. He really wanted to play. He had never played before. His dad had played with his uncle and a couple of their friends, and he wanted to finally play. So he was still, while we were in the middle of games, he was still sitting there, still putting figures together. And because this was supposed to be it was a what's the word I'm looking for? It was an escalation link. So it started off at 500 points and it grew from there. So it was 500 points for 4 weeks, 1,000 points for 4 weeks, 1,500 points for 4 weeks, and then 2,000 points for 4 weeks. I missed a week in each segment. And he was so happy to just actually have his own figures. And he wanted to paint them, he just hadn't gotten to it yet. So I couldn't fault him in the least for playing a sea of plastic.
And he understood that by doing this, he lost points.
Yeah, because that was the other thing. Every time you played, every time you showed up, it was really neat the way the league worked. Every time you won, you got a ticket. Every time you showed up, you got a ticket. Every time you came to the game and you had a fully painted army, you got another ticket.
He accepted.
At the end of the 16 weeks, the number of games you won, the number of games you were there for, and the number of times you had a fully painted army was the number of tickets that went into the drum. They did a spin, and there were 3 prizes. Well, actually, there was a prize every 4 weeks, and then at the end, there were 3 prizes at the end of the league. And he recognized he wasn't going to get as many points in the draw. But he wanted to just play so bad. He didn't care. He wasn't there to win prizes. He wanted to get there to roll the dice, to understand the game, to get better at the game, to better build an army, to understand how the game worked, because he just really loved them bugs. I can't fault him. That was great. I love to see that kind of enthusiasm.
None of us in the league gave. We're just like,
oh no, and everybody in the league. That was the other thing I really loved about that league. There was only 8 guys in that league, but man, I mean, they were just probably some of the best group of regular players I ran into. Everybody was supporting everybody else. Everybody was throwing ideas at each other. She had just got into the hobby when this league started up. And one of the guys there was an Eldar player. One of the guys there was a Drukhari player. And they were constantly giving her ideas, talking to her about lore, talking to her about the models. And when she did get things painted and built, they were, giving her some tips and oohing and ahhing over some of the things she did, because she's an amazing freaking painter.
Yeah.
So it was just really super supportive. One of the guys there, his girlfriend doesn't like playing in competitive games, but she had a massive Death Guard army. So we talked about that a lot. Really nice lady. It was just really cool. Just a really family type situation there, which was really cool. And that's the one thing that COVID's kind of made suck, because some of these guys, they try to get together when they can because they want to get together and play. And in this COVID, we got to have separation. And absolutely, we got to have separation. And that's the hardest part of this whole game. And trying to stay excited and focused and on task, because you got to have that separation. I luckily have enough contact with certain people, small family contact, that I can have Commodore over here, from time to time. Jack has a job where he works outdoors in a construction setting, so he's not even around people. So don't feel too bad about that. Plus,
I'm the one who stays away from everybody when we do this, because I'm the one who's around the public the most.
But it's still it's the thing about this game. If nothing else is true, it is, for a bunch of nerds, it's a hugely social thing. So, and I got off topic again because I'm just so excited to have you here. You understand how much I appreciate you?
I didn't do anything.
You just sat there.
I'm just sitting here.
Okay, so here's another thing, guys. You got to catch. When you enjoy spending time with your woman, not even talking to her, you just enjoy being near each other. The two of you doing things in the same room counts as quality time, because you just enjoy each other's company so much.
Oh, yeah, I did that.
Like kitty.
Okay, so what's going to keep going?
Oh, my feet are great. I canceled that Tuesday stream. I stayed off of my feet for 12 plus hours.
He was going insane.
I was nuts. Not moving, not going anywhere, not doing anything for 12 hours. Well, 8 of it was asleep, but That should say something. 8 of it
He's
was
lying.
asleep.
He doesn't sleep for 8 hours.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. I did that night. That was the crazy thing. I don't sleep for 8 hours. I sleep for 4 to 6 hours a night. I had ran out of things to do, and she had to go to sleep. We had to stop watching the TV show we were watching, so we went to bed, and I slept for 8 hours. And the next day, I took a bunch more of the anti-inflammatories and actually a antihistamine.
Yes.
And by that afternoon, my feet were completely. I do consider myself fortunate and lucky. I have the absolute best woman for me in the world. And I don't mind telling everybody in the world that.
Tired of being sappy.
That's not a matter of being sappy. I have a nerd girl. I have a nerd girl that's into gaming and into miniature painting and into wargaming and into video games and into comic books and into superhero movies and all the nerdy stuff I love.
I've also discovered that my girlfriend likes at least the building part so far, and I'm pretty sure she'll like the painting part because she's painted miniatures before.
He couldn't get up and paint him, Kaiser.
That was the whole thing. I couldn't get up. I had to lay in bed with my feet raised. I had to get my feet above my shoulders and lay there for 12 hours.
And I don't allow the paint in the bedroom.
She's learned from the GW paint pots. Can't trust them.
That and my cats.
Yeah.
I really don't trust them.
We have a lot of cats.
We have a lot of
Okay. Let me explain something to you about one of my little brats. I was eating cookies. I had a cup of milk. I had a coffee mug with milk. It was about maybe a third full. She kept sticking her head in it. I kept patting her head away. She was like, she'd go back and and third time she looks at me, looks at the cup, and then she ducks her head real quick. I go to back her way, and instead of, how normally their, head goes up and they go back, she tucks her chin and pulls her head back. Cup goes on the floor. She jumps down, starts licking up the milk.
Was that wasabi?
Yes, it was.
I knew it. There's a reason she's called our spicy girl.
Yeah.
My girls are very intelligent, and they're assholes.
And I'm just thinking, it's getting so
And they're junkies.
They're very much junkies for catnip.
One of them recently took so much catnip, she threw up.
No, you.
That was yours.
Oh, it's mittens for you.
Man, like,
Take my stuff. I'll cut you.
Sabi loves it. And then my boyfriend will cut you. And my sister will. No, my sister will cut you. And then my boyfriend will eat you.
No.
He'll look big at you. That's about it. I got off topic again.
Yes, you did.
So,
What were we talking about?
I was saying that if you painted a figure,
Yeah. And then you got on the subject.
I would. That's the whole thing. I don't like using other people's figures. Those are not my figures. I don't like using them. I might use them for a test game or a demo game, but that's it. But I have one figure from Mythos that he painted for me. Why do you have that all over your hand?
Because I was doing this. I just.
It's your child.
Is that the mud stuff? Or is that regular paint color?
Paint.
Okay.
Your dad would have probably had to murder you if that was
The mud stuff, yeah.
No, it was just paint.
And if you're painting on the mat, can you please put something down underneath you?
So.
Why didn't you pick the mat up?
Because I haven't cleaned the table up completely yet. It's not a painting table unless I tell you to. Get something to put down underneath it. Damn it. This house, these people.
Hey, many more.
Hey, what's up going on, buddy? So yeah, I don't like other people's miniatures. I don't play with them. But I have one miniature from Mythos that I love, and I will play with it. I have played with it, and it did very well for me. And if you painted up that one, if I end up keeping my half of the box and keep the Necrons because Necrons are cool, if I do that, you can paint up the big clawed dude.
I thought we didn't play the same.
That was only created for somebody else who doesn't remember this.
You sure it's the right one?
Yes. I'm very sure it's the right hand.
Okay. Oh, well, there you go. You know why I got to ask?
Because I tried to put the wrong hand on last week.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm aware.
And I've put figures together backwards, remember?
I think everyone in this room has. Probably a lot of people on the stream have.
So yeah. There are certain people that if they painted me a figure, I would pay. I can specifically say if somebody painted me a wolf, like a wolf character or a wolf, like a single elite dude, and it was one of the people that I know and hang out with, I would keep it. If Commodore painted me a really clean looking wolf,
Commodore can't do anything. You keep it and put it up on the shelf.
right? But if he painted me a really clean wolf, I'd probably play it with that weird, gross, super clean style of his.
No, it's freaking amazing.
Put a girl in there. Very nice. Show it off.
He's really nice.
So her girl on the bike has its girl head. Can't see it because I can't focus up for a while, but that is a female head in there because her salamanders. I'm going to keep using that term until it sticks. I'll pull your hair. Stick it in the info. I'm going to black hair anyhow. Multicolor paint. You know, but that's the difference. If you're getting like a top tier painter, like some freaking, like, even if it's not even a top tier, but just somebody that you like really like and really adore. Sala Ladies. I like that one. Sala Ladies.
Salad Nick ladies.
How are they coming? Where's the one you just finished? No, where's the one you just finished? The big dude. Did you take it with you?
Oh, no, I just moved it.
Where'd you move it to? Okay, come here. Somebody is asking about your figures.
Oh, okay. My
So
Annihilation Barge.
So, you have it glued in or no?
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't have that.
So, the Annihilation Barge is all done. All the pieces are separate so they can be put on and back forth.
It has a giant gun.
Yeah, that's a big gun. But that's now all done other than gluing the base in place, if they're going to do that. I'll do the flip down here. They're working on the bases, but here's all the dudes done. So that'll be the
Scarabs are behind me.
and the scarabs just got to be put on their base too. They're all done. So as soon as they are done with this, they will have completed their start collecting box, and then they can start on their Indomitus box.
Yep.
And that should be the entirety of the army at that point. Then we have to figure points and stuff finally, and then it's a matter of picking things here and there to get.
I'm very excited to open that and start building that.
You already opened it.
Open it and start building. Okay, it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, it's funny looking at, honestly, talking. I'm going to talk about Plague Child in the third person here for a moment. Are you going to leave me? Are you going to leave me? Hi, everybody. The lady is leaving me. She's in a lot of pain. She had a rough day. Are you working tomorrow? Okay. So she'll be good tomorrow. So say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everybody. I'm going to take my fuzzy head out of here.
Your fuzzy head.
Have you seen this?
Do I think the start collecting box to be updated in newer Necrons? I don't know. And I say I don't know specifically.
Because it's a focus thing, I'm thinking probably they're
I doubt it. And I'll tell you why. I was going to say that. The reason I don't think they're going to update it is I don't think they're going to have a Necron start collecting box. Because they have starter sets.
Yeah.
The Death Guard did not have a start collecting box throughout the entirety of 8th edition. There was no Death Guard start collecting box. Point to be made. They were the bad guys of 8th, no box. I think the Necron boxes, they're going to go out of print. They got stuff moving, but they're good color on them. I think, my opinion, that either they'll update them, but they won't update them till late, or they're just not going to have, they're going to let the ones they have go out, and they're not going to do them anymore. So that you want a large number of of figures, you're going to buy the starter. What I do think you're going to see is I think you're going to see a very rapid removal of all the older Necron sets, like real quick, and replace them with the new kits. Yes, I got to agree with you, Archer. I'm really glad they are too. We have a weird thing in this house where everybody does, normally they don't cross over armies, and everybody wants to do like their own factions. Lady Dragon, really wants to do Thousand Suns, and for Christmas, I'm planning on buying her actually that start collecting box because she really, really wants to do Thousand Suns. Yeah, I'm thinking the easiest way to do that is to take a pair of tweezers and pull the tape off, and then peel the tape off the bottom. Yeah, it's a great. I mean, first it gets you our amount, it gives you a good amount, and I also want to get her the kill team box so she gets 5 Terminators and a little bit extra terrain because terrain always helps. I think you're. Let me quick go back on chat here for a second. I don't think there's a lot of the Necron boxes on sale right now, and I noticed they haven't been restocked for a bit. So I don't think we're going to see new Necron box. I don't think we're going to see the old Necron box come back. I think we're going to see the new ones with new models.
I'm glad I got this one when I did. So it was a really nice experience.
Yeah, it's a thing. The Zangors in there. I don't know how useful they are. I don't play Thousand Suns. I don't pretend to know much about them. I love their look, but they're not my thing. But the fact that there's at least one unit in there I've never seen in a box form, I think that's good. I don't know. Like I said, there's I have some concerns. I'll be honest. I do have some concerns moving forward. They are okay. Whatever kind of new one? There's a few extras in the bin too. Killer Troops. Okay. I'll tell you the big thing is that I have some concerns in that you look at what's in the Indominus box, and you look what's in the new starters. And for the Marines, I love the figures, but being real, most of the figures that are in there are figures you're going to have one unit of. You're not this. It's a really cool 1,000-point army, but other than the bikers, I don't see having a lot of multiple units of them. Maybe the assault, the assault intercessors, but I still want gun guys. And I think getting rid of the old, easy-to-build kits. I mean, intercessors are still the backbone of a Primaris army. I personally believe. I honestly believe regular intercessors, your two-handed gun-wielding intercessors, are the backbone of an army. Here's the problem with looking at the assault intercessors, and I want to say this in that I love the assault intercessors. I love the figures. I really do. I'm gonna probably get a unit of 10 of them turn them into 2 squads of 5, and use them in my wolf, my Space Wolf army to swap out some of my other units. But that's exactly it. They don't have jump packs, so they've only got a 6 movement with a 12-inch gun. The Melta guys, okay, yes, the Melta guys and the bikes are ones I'm going to see multiples of in an army. The problem with those assault intercessors is that 12-inch range on that gun, yeah, turn 3, that's going to be great. But from turn 1 till turn 3, you're basically running across a field. And that's where they're going to be the most vulnerable. Also, I was taking a look at Marines today because I've been looking at my Iron Hands army that I'm trying to build, that I'm kind of looking to build as a competitive looking army. And Iron Hands really don't do melee very well. I mean, yeah, they get that 6-up, the 6-up feel no pain, but their real bonuses aren't all about melee. So playing them as Iron Hands really not a great opinion, not a great thought there. So I've been looking at the other chapters, looking at White Scars. There's a question I pointed there. I just got an answer from Mythos in about White Scars. White Scars are going to really shine in this. Black Templars, pretty cool. They're going to be for this, for the melee guys. But you look at the rest of the founding chapters, all of the Astartes compliant chapters, none of them really do melee well. Yeah, so you're going to have to buy impulsors to deliver these guys, and that's going to be a thing. With vehicles being better, it's going to be a thing. Again, and this goes back to what I said when it goes back to what I was saying earlier in the show. The way we play the game as Marines, the way we play as any army, the army you had in 8th is not going to be played the same way in 9th. The board change, the terrain change, the rules changes really, really change how this game gets played. It's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of these chapters that I mean, I'd look at salamanders, but my wife's doing salamanders, so I don't even want to look at them. They're gonna be great in 9th. They got some abilities that'll be great in 9th. Again, it'll be interesting to see. Imperial Fists are going to be good for shooting at stuff to keep things out of terrain. But terrain does more than just protect against shooting now. So in that respect, yes, you're absolutely right on that, Kaiser. On a whole, Marines on a whole, just generically, Marines are good at fighting. Again, I'm being honest here. I'm looking to take this Marine army with the Indominus set. I'm looking to turn it into a competitive army. I want to dip my toe in a competitive this edition, and I'm looking at the Indominus as the base to start with. So I'm looking for synergies, and that's where the problem is. There's the Iron Hands don't have the synergies I'm looking for with the Indominus box. And again, that's not to say the Indominus box is a bad box. The Indominus box is great. There's something for every chapter in there. But they don't all fit neatly into the meta that one chapter. And again, I look at it from the experience I had building my Death Guard army. I looked at two things actually. I looked at two things on my army and piled as much on top of those two things to make those two things as viable as possible. And that's why my army did as well as it did. I put everything into lots of invul saves and lots of rerolls. And by putting that in there in default, that made the army on a whole really good. So that being said, stacking up abilities, that's where you want to look for where your advantage are. And the thing is, there's a unit of bikers, and they're really good at what they do. It is, and it's absolutely. The Indominus box, again, I'm going to say it point blank, the Indominus box is an excellent box. I'm going to say the same thing about Dark Imperium. Dark Imperium was a great box. Indominus is a great box. I don't think we've seen such a good box as these last two since Black Reach. Black Reach was an incredible starter box. I'll be honest. The 7th edition starter box. I'm trying to remember what that one was called. Dark Vengeance. It was okay. It was good for it was great for the what do you call it? The Dark Angels half of that box. Not really good for Chaos. It just really wasn't that impressive for Chaos. Yeah.
Oh, yes, Garrett.
So yeah, I think honestly, looking at Indominus, I think it's a great start because it gives you a little bit of everything. You've got some shooting, you've got some heavy weapons, you've got some fast attack, you've got some characters with some auras, you've got some really good, impressive characters, you've got some really good fighty troops. On a whole, it's a great box. It gives you everything. And looking at the starter, honestly, if as a new player you didn't get the Indominus starter, you didn't get the Indominus box, and you come into the game and let's say you're a brand new player 90 days or 45 days from now, and you come into a gaming store and you see the new starter box that comes with terrain in it. You can ask for better. It's got a squad of the bikes, a squad of the intercessors. We're talking Marine side. It's got a squad of the bikes, squad of the intercessors. It's got an HQ. I think it's I don't know if it's lieutenant or the captain to get, but you get one of them, and then. Dark Vengeance. It's good stuff. If you're playing Dark Angels, Dark Vengeance is a great box set. But you get all that, and then you get a mound of terrain. You get what they say is the proper amount of terrain for a 500-point fight. And aren't you going to put this one there first? Or are you going to throw that first?
I'll put this on afterwards so I can move it around.
Okay. They're also going to be putting out a box, and I called this like 3 months ago. They're putting out a box with 2 boards and a pile of terrain in the box. And it's going to be like a $50 or $60 box set. So it's going to be just like the Kill Team Deployment Zone box sets. I think that excites me. That really excites me. I'm going to be picking that thing up because it's all new terrain. And I love the new terrain. I love the new combination of Mechanicus and the Imperialis terrain pieces that they're having. I love them. I think they look great. No orcs. There are no orcs. Yeah, again, as an orc player, I agree. And I gotta say, as much as a starting orc player at the time, the orc, say the Apocalypse box, was great for me. For most people that play orcs, that Apocalypse box was terrible. So there hasn't been a really good orc box set in a while. I would say I'm hoping. I mean, to start collecting boxes, a good point to start from. I would hope, honestly, when they do their Christmas boxes this year, because they haven't gotten a lot of love, especially with there being a new orc figure noticed in the coming figures. I would like to see them do an orc Christmas box this year as one of the units they do. Stormclaw. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see an orc. I'd like to see an orc box. But then again, orcs did get Speed Freaks. That was a great box. Love Speed Freaks. I'd love to get my hands on a second box of Speed Freaks. That's a great pile of figures there too.
You had fun with that box.
Hmm?
You had fun with that box.
Yeah. Like I said, we were talking about that. It looked like there was a guy with a plague spear, a new Nurgle fly stuff on his arm in that preview. We're getting a new Lilith Hesperax. That was very obvious, a Lilith Hesperax. And there was an orc that they showed. So maybe we're going to finally get a separate from the box an orc war boss, a lone orc war boss figure. That'd be great. I'm excited to see that. I mean, the orc community has gotten so used to being ignored, they just kit bash everything at this point. It's like, the kit's crap, just build something yourself.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who just
Here, I agree. I agree, Kaiser, with you 110%. Absolutely 110% on that. Everybody complained. It's funny. It's so weird. The complaining, the levels of complaining about the different things that you could possibly complain about. The Orcs got a box set with 2 new trucks and 2 sets of bikes in it, and people complain it's not competitive. Okay. But they're great figures. And unless you're playing ITC and that's all you're playing, then okay, then don't buy it. But here's the thing. If you're playing ITC quality games all the time and you're constantly in that competitive scene, then you don't care about box sets most of the time. You're looking for specific figures. You're looking for specific units to make your army what you want. So you don't care about box sets to begin with. So your argument is invalid. Not yours. Their argument is invalid. Let me be clear about that. Their argument is invalid. Could the Orcs use some more new? That's good. Could the Orcs use some new models? They're getting them. Finally, they're getting them. The Orcs' main complaint that I've heard from players is we don't get enough love, and there's a lot of staples that we have to kit bash because there's not enough variation, there's not enough X, not enough Y. And the Orc community as a whole that I've gotten to know is all about, well, we'll just kit bash it. The amount of Orcs that I've seen kit bash from other kits, where they just got Orc heads and put them on other bodies, have been awesome. The amount of Ogren and Bulgren converted into war bosses that I've seen, just some great, cool-looking builds.
I've seen some pretty cool.
That's
like
awesome.
Kick bash stuff.
So, Orcs are used to kit bashing, so they don't complain too much. But they do complain about when they get a box set. And I again, you're absolutely right. They got some old sculpts out there, and they could really use some love. And the problem is that they had a whole bunch of sculpts that they redid in plastic. They've got a bunch of sculpts they did in plastic for Black Reach that you can't get right now.
Kit bash.
Why in the heck do they have these great figures in a great starter box that you can't get. You get it if you order them. You get the metal versions. The hell, man! You can't get that War Boss anywhere unless you buy it on eBay. Honestly, I'm going to tell you the one thing, in my opinion, Spud, the one thing Orcs I think could use, and this is just a weird little thing for me. They do it for the Marines. The Marines get upgrade sprues. They have a vehicular upgrade sprue. You know, I'd like an Orc upgrade sprue. I'd like to be able to build my knobs with a few more options than having to buy 3 kits to build them 1 unit of 5 with the equipment I want. That'd be my only complaint. I'd like to get a box with more heads. Yeah, no, I love or feral 40K art, yeah. Yeah, and you know, and that's the thing. Like I said, I love the Orc vehicles. I mean, I love them. I love the Orcs. They're you can blame 6+ Stevo. Honestly and truly, 6+ Stevo and Big Mac Danskull. You can blame the 2 of them. They got me to look at Orcs and really try them and fall back in love with them because I liked them 30 years ago, but I never got around to playing them. But the 2 of them made me fall back in love with them, and I love what I'm doing with them. I'm still building them, but I'm kind of slow building them because I got a couple of them that I really want to do some really cool kit bashes for. And interacting with the Pale Orc, another great YouTuber, really giving me some great ideas for doing with them. I also love the fact that because they know that, you know, GW doesn't give them all the attention, you can go to Spellcore, you can go to Cromlech, and you can go to a couple other places and get bits that work, that look right. There's a lot of other places to get them. Well, Warm-Up, I'll be honest with you. yeah, I gotta agree on that one. Honestly, I'll tell you the truth there, Warm-Up. Get a 3D printer. You never run out of legs. I printed out an extra set of 10 legs, and I took 1 box of boys and turned it into 20 boys because I had all the weapons and all the heads and all the arms. I just needed legs. So yeah, Orcs are lovely. I think they're a great army. I think they're a lot of fun. Oh, the other person that got me into them, freaking Winters. Winters is actually the reason why mine are Descos, because they're lucky. Pick one up because it's lucky. You know, I love Murphy's Wad, and that's kind of where I came up with my guys from. So yeah, I think Orcs are fine. But now you want to talk about the next group of complainers. I will tell you, there's one group of complainers out in the 40K world that make me mad. They make me mad at the level that they complain about. Oh yeah, 3D printing, man, I'm all about it. I love 3D printing. I'm printing up pieces to build my Orc. I'm converting. I might as well show it. Where is he? Where's he? I am building an Orc battle wagon. So I'm building a battle wagon, and I started off with this really cool tank toy I found, and I've so far printed the battle cannon and the gunner sticking out of
That's pretty good.
the turret there.
I think I've just been summoned.
No, actually, the players that I actually really are mad about their level of complaining are the Eldar. I just, oh my God, the level of just pull my hair out. When I got into 8th edition was about a year and a half ago. And all I heard from these Tau players were how GW hated not Tau players, the Eldar players, how they hated the Eldar. They give them no love. They give them no love. They give them no new models. They got all this stuff in Finecast. Complain, whine, complain. Just all this complaining about how GW treats them so poorly. And then I read my first GT report and saw that the Eldar were a top 3 army in the game. And I went, okay, well, let's see if that's something new. They've been a top 3 player for the last 20 years. They have consistently been a top tier army. Okay, so they've got some sculpts that are kind of okay, yeah, they need their new aspect warriors. They're not getting them. Okay, fair. Hey, you got new aspect warriors coming. You're gonna get 2 leaders, and you're gonna get the incubi out of resin, and you're gonna get the banshees out of resin. You're gonna get them in plastic finally. Hey, that's great. That's awesome. And hey, you guys are going to be the first guys to get anything in the Psychic Awakening, and you're going to get a book with new rules, and you're going to get a big old box set, a huge, massive box set. And when they announced everything that was in that box set, when they were complaining about that box set, now I will admit, my wife was a brand new Yanari player, so she was looking at the Drukhari and looking at the Eldar and looked at the box and just like, oh, this is awesome, because there's so much awesomeness for a newer player in there. And all these Eldar players were complaining about it's like, well, we have to buy this whole box set to get these figures, or you wait 3 months and you get them, which they got. And there's all these figures that there aren't competitive. It's not even that we're not going to play them. It's we've got all these not competitive figures in there. If you're playing competitive Eldar at this point, you've been playing the same list for the last 20 years, you're not looking for units. So unless they got everything they want when they wanted right then and there, I was a member of the Eldar subreddit because I was trying to learn more about how to play the Eldar, to try and teach Lady Dragon how to use them, so when she finally got to her Eldar, she could use them. And oh my God, I had to unsub from it, because every single day, that was all. It was just this never-ending echo chamber of, oh, poor us. All of our figures suck, and all of our this is terrible, and GW hates us, and blah, 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 blah. And all they ever print is Marines. And this is the point when Marines were bottom tier, bottom feeders for a lot of that, and the Eldar absolutely smoked everybody. When the Knights got killed off in 8th because they got nerfed, the Eldar kind of went to the top of the class and wouldn't let anybody in there. Maybe the Tau. And we're the worst. You have the best units in the game. You have the best shooting in the game. You have the most consistently dominating armies in the game. And yet, somehow, you're the worst. shut up and go away. I couldn't deal with it because that entire subreddit was just this toxic chamber of how terrible. Feel bad for me. I had to buy this Finecast figure. No, you didn't have to buy the Finecast figure. You just wanted to get some new ones and complain. Whatever. I've been playing Space Wolves for 30 years. They have been competitive in at least 15 to 20. Who cares? They're what I love. I enjoy my figures. Death Guard throughout 8th edition. I love those figures. They're so beautifully ugly. They're terrible in 8th edition. Competitive speaking. I love them. Who cares? You either love your army or you don't love your army. Absolutely, Spud. Abso-freaking-lutely. I think people just forget how whole they're a freaking company. It's like they make what sells. Marines, even when they were bad, were consistently their top selling thing. So of course they're gonna make more new ones, and they're gonna make more of them, and more of them, and more of them, and more of them, and more of them. Because Marines sell. I'm in a pretty active, pretty large. Actually, I'm really weird. I'm in 2 separate stores, and they have their own communities of players, and they don't really cross over. I'm like, me and Lady D are like 2 of the few people that actually cross over between the 2 stores. And at the main store I go to, where Commodore and Ben and Tina are all at, you see lots of Marines, lots of Imperium. There's so many guys there playing Imperial Guard and Marines and Dark Angels and Grey Knights and Dark Angels and Adeptus Sororitas. That is by and far, and I'm like the only Space Wolf player. There might be one other one, but not that I can think of off the top of my head. It's mainly all Imperium players, and then a couple of us that also play Chaos. Like a couple of us that I play Death Guard. The shop manager has a really great Thousand Suns army, and my guy Jason, although I've never seen this thing, supposedly has a really great black the Abaddon's guys for Chaos. We're only now seeing like a Tau player. Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about it. I don't know of any other Xeno players. Yeah, I mean, it's everybody's playing some variation on the Marines. Even if they're not the top guys, everybody's playing them. Yes, your Archangels. His loyalist Archangels. Because, they're the most loyalist of boys. Yeah, Artie's from that store, too. And then the other store I play at, it's mainly Xenos players. There's like an Eldar player and a Drukhari player and a Tyranid player. And another Drukhari player and another Eldar player and a Tau player and a Necrons player, and then one guy that plays an Imperial soup of fists and Mechanica. But it's mainly Xenos players. It's a real weird mix. The Eldar players are, they've got old armies and they haven't bought figures in forever, and they don't complain. The Drukhari player is, I mean, Chris is a great guy. The other player who plays Drukhari has an old, mostly resin and lead Drukari army, and he only showed up a couple times there. But Marines were starting to pick up there because there was a guy there playing Marines, and I started playing my Wolves, and so Marines started becoming more popular again there. It's funny because I talked to Mythos, and he talks about, he went to a local game store, and there's 6 tables of them, and there were 7 Tau players. I would love to play more Tau players. I would love. You see, I don't know about that, because if you go to GU, Commodore, there's a huge Space Marine section, and there's a little bit of everything else. Now, admittedly, they have a lot more of a selection than the GW store does, because they've got a lot of models you don't normally see in a GW, and I'll admit that's true there. And they've got a lot of other games there, so they got to compress everything down. But they've still got a lot of Marine stuff. Hey, I appreciate you coming by, Spud. Thank you so much. Big love. I'm actually way over. I'm usually done by 9 o'clock my time. We're 45 minutes over. I know you do, but I mean, there's no games going on there now. So, and you know what I'm talking about. Then have you gone to their one in Brookfield? If you go to the one in Brookfield, there's like wall of Space Marines and then a Xeno section. But it's a huge wall of Space Marine stuff. The one in Franklin, though, it's that huge section, the main section right by the paint rack, is all Space Marines. You're not going to put snow in there?
No.
Why not?
Because I have enough of these guys taking up area. And I think it looks complete without it. I might put rocks on it, but I don't think I'm going to put snow on it.
All right. I think you should put snow on it. Even if we just put a little bit here and there. Not a lot, just a couple of dabs here and there. Don't use that one. Use the little skinny one. Trust me. Yeah. Yeah. Use the other end. Yeah. Use that end. The thing is that you look at GW, and I mean, what's the one thing that's true about every starter box? They've got Marines in them.
Has there been any starter box that hasn't?
Yeah, I mean, every starter box has Marines in it. So you know, that just there is the subtle pushing of Marines. Marines are the focus of their game. They are a company. They are selling their product. The Marine is their selling point. I mean, I remember the very.
So much customization.
I remember the very, 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 very early days, like in 90, 91, when there were Marines and there were Orcs, and everyone else was just starting to come about. But I mean, you went to a store, if you wanted something other than Marines and Orcs, you had to order it in a catalog. Just the Stormcast. You know, I guess because I got out of it when I did. I got out of Warhammer Fantasy to start playing 40K, because at the time I was a poor college student and I couldn't afford being in 2 games at once. I didn't miss the fantasy thing. Yeah, exactly. Just little splotches there. It's perfect. So I didn't miss it. Now that I'm an older guy and I have a little bit more money and I have the money for the armies I want to play, I'm kind of looking forward to the old world, which is basically going to be, 30K, but for fantasy. It's going to be the last edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, maybe cleaned up some, and then oh my God, it's Zane. Hello, it's Zane.
Zane.
That's the whole thing. I got out of fantasy to buy the 2nd edition starter box. The starter box is right there. Well, you can't
if you hadn't gone over, Zane
It
wouldn't have made it.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I got out of it. I sold my high elf army. I had a high elf and wood elf combined army that I sold to a roommate. I've told this story a couple times on stream. I went to the store and I saw 40K, and I went to the store and I was going there to get some more units for my elves. And I walked in, and the store owner was like, "Hey, D, you got to see this," because he knew my love of Vikings. I've always had a huge, I've always had a huge love. That I got to give him credit there, but I've always had a huge love of Vikings. It's a thing. I love Vikings. And he's like, "Dude, you got to see this, that 40K game," and he handed me the codex. So I guess it was 93. That would have been 93. He handed me the codex for the Space Wolves, the very first codex, the one that it had come out. He had gotten its copy that Friday, and this was Saturday, so he got it the day before, and he handed it to me. He said, "You got to check this out." And I'm sitting here reading this book, and I blew half my paycheck right then and there. I bought that codex. I bought the starter box. I bought a box of Beaky Marines, and I bought a box set. He had I don't know what it was. They were I think they called them collection boxes at that time, but it was a box of it was 20 Imperial Guard in plastic with a commissar / company commander that was mostly metal, but with plastic arms and head, or plastic arms, and the head was metal as well, and another figure then there. I think it was a sergeant, or it might have been a company commander. There was another figure in there. There was 2 metal figures, or mostly metal, or metal and plastic mixed figures, and 30 Imperial Guard, or 20 Imperial Guard guys. It was a collection box. I forget what they called it, but I bought that. I bought the Beaky Marines. I bought the starter box, and I bought the codex. And I went back to my roommate and I sold him. He was like, "Well, you're going to get that 40K. That's never going to take off. That's dumb. Nobody's going to play space battles wargaming. That's dumb." I'm like, "Well, okay. But I'm not going to play fantasy anymore. Nobody else really wants to play." Well, that was the thing. Back in the day, that's all the Marines were the Beakies. Well, half the Marines were Beakies. I actually ended up buying a box of, I think it was the Kislev. They had a plastic box of I bought a plastic box of, I want to say it was Kislev, a bunch of Kislev Raiders. And I bought them just so I could take axes and heads and shields and fur cloaks off of these northern barbarian looking guys and glue them onto my Marines, because I had no idea about sculpting or green stuff or epoxy putty or any of that stuff at that point.
Now he knows.
So we just, I bought this box of plastic dudes and I just cut them up, and I use a lot of their heads. So a lot of my Marines had, these Kislev heads on them. It worked out all right. Which is why I'm mad that I can't find any of those freaking Marines, because there was like 60 of these damn things I had, and I don't know where any of them are. I mean, I put them away when this one's older brother was born. I took all my Warhammer stuff and hid it away, and I have no idea where any of it is anymore.
Now you've returned.
Yeah, now I'm back, and I have a couple of Beaky Wolves. I actually have a couple of Beaky Wolves right now. I built a set of 5 storm sky claws. I built this group of 5 sky claws, and I think 2 of them have beaky helmets. So, Kaiser, actually, I got to get going too. I got to work in the morning, and it's already almost 10 o'clock our time. We normally have an hour and a half show. We're in the 2.5 hour mark. I mean, I'm just so excited about having all you people here and having all this great conversation about stuff. And I just think we're going to see a real. I think we're going to see a real. I don't want to use the word renaissance, but I think we're going to see 40K. I think is going to be in a better place than it's been in a long time in this edition. Playing that game really gives me the impression that any army can be competitive once we figure out what the meta is. So. All right. So that being said, we're gonna quick give a shout out to all my lovely Patreons. And here we got. I'm gonna start off with my Battle Brothers level Patreon. I have 2 of them. We have your buddy, Insane in the Membrane, Inquisitor, and the man that screams, "Say my name, say my name." He is the Mini War Mutt. We've got our 3 battle leader. Do the whole dog in a car hanging out of the window thing. There was a joke made about that, about having a rhino, and somehow forgot how to cut a door in a rhino so I could have a Marine, a Space Wolf hanging out the door or hanging on a window on that thing.
That sounds hilarious.
But I got my 3 battle leader level guys. I've got Heinrich. I used to make jewelry, and now I just make awesome 3D prints. Botha. I got my man, the Bookman, Joe Bookish, who is so weirdly silent. I miss him. And I've got my man from down under, the Thunder from down under. He is Australian Jesus. He is Kaiju Shorts. And then lastly, we've got our four Warlord tier patrons. And I want to say, because of all of you patrons, are able to pay for me to get some supplies, get some needed pieces here and there, to keep me in paint and keep me in glue, and every once in a while let me splurge and buy some 3D models off of 3D Cults or off Artisans Guild or something like that. And I appreciate that from you guys. I appreciate you guys thinking that I supply enough entertainment that you believe in giving me a little bit of money every month. And I really appreciate that. So lastly, I want to give a big shout out to my four big Warlord level patrons. First off, coming in high from orbit, he is the man that wields the banhammer in this channel. He is the guy that keeps Zane in line, and is the reason Zane has at least 6 accounts banned from YouTube.
I think it's like
he is the Commodore. There is that Smash Captain, the ultimate Smash Captain, the guy that runs around doing crazy stuff at night in trucks and people try to crash his truck. My man, James Meeks. There is my wonderful niece, my lovely niece, my wonderful artist who we have now infected and is now building her Adeptus Sororitas army because we got her. Lovely Flight of the Phoenix. Yeah, she's out there. And lastly, the man that gave me my inspiration, the man that taught me most of what I know, the guy that got me into the hobby to begin with, and the guy I think all of us could learn something from, mostly because he's old, and shockingly not here tonight. My lovely brother, Alex, the Master Modeler Drake. So that being said, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. If you are a subscriber, ring that bell, because you never know when we're going to have one of our crazy little sessions where we jump up and down, say crazy things, and talk about things for at least an hour longer than we expected. We're all about making this a hobby experience. I love talking about the sport. I love talking about the modeling. I love talking about painting. I need to do more tutorials. I need to teach you guys more of what's in my brain. I have so much in my brain, it's just kind of oozing out. I need to give that to you guys to learn something from it. So, and that is my goal here, is to teach people how to epic their board, epic their life, and epic their game. Much love to all of you. Love you always. I tell you to grab up an ox, but that's not my thing. So if you haven't hit like, I'd ask you to hit like just to let YouTube know that I'm doing a good job. But it looks like we're getting our likes, so I appreciate that. Anytime you see my stuff in the channel, go ahead and throw a comment in below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you didn't like. Tell me what you want to talk about. And we will bring it up, and we'll talk about it in the future. I'm Big D. This is the Plague Child. And we are the Gamecraft Dragons. Thank you so much. Big love. And have a wonderful night.